Um, the Files app has become a very important app because it allows for it's preloaded. It's an Apple app, so it ships with your device. If you've deleted it either accidentally or on purpose, you can re-download it from the App Store, and it allows you to access the files and folders that are stored locally on your device, as well as on iCloud Drive, and in a number of third-party locations that we will talk about momentarily. Now, let me just say that there was a time that Apple did not provide file and folder level access to users on iOS, and as the devices have become more and more powerful, more and more functional, and they truly have become the computer for many people, like myself, that use the iPad pretty much full time. We've needed to have this level of access, both for the stuff that's stored on our devices and also for third-party services like Dropbox, and even for physical media like external USB thumb drives and SD cards. Now, I want to point out that in many cases, you do not need the Files app. Okay, so it is possible, for example, to open, let's say, the Apple Pages app or the Keynote app and access all of your Pages documents and Keynote presentations from within those apps. So in other words, it's very possible to access your files using the apps that created them. And why not, right? I mean, we access our email by opening the Mail app. We access our notes by opening the Notes app. Why wouldn't we access our Pages documents by opening the Pages app? But sometimes you need a little more control over things than just that. Sometimes you want to look at all of your files, or you want to look at a certain group of files that correlate with a specific project. Or, as I said, maybe you want access to third-party file sharing services or external media. Now, we don't need to have access to all the files and folders on our device, and Apple has made sure to see to it that we don't. All right, so you cannot access system files and things that, we really have no business modifying anyway, because they affect the way that iOS works and those kinds of things. And there are other limitations which are mostly, I believe, due to license restrictions and so on. For example, if you're an Apple Music user or you use the Music app at all, you cannot access the folder where your music is stored. Now, there are some third-party apps for the Mac that make it possible to do that, but we're not covering that right now. So basically, the simplest way to put it is you cannot access those folders, and you don't need to. Typically, you can, do everything you want to do in other ways. But the Files app does allow for you to access all of the files and folders that you create, and also many of them that are created for you. So the Files app includes access to, as I said, what is locally stored, and that is going to be in a location called On My iPhone or On My iPad, whatever the name of the device is. It also includes access to iCloud Drive, which, in my opinion, is by far the most important component to the Files app, is that it is the way to access iCloud Drive. And I cannot stress enough how vital that is and how useful it is. And in most cases, that is the only place that I store things. Now, there are some cases where things automatically get stored locally, and that's just the way the app works, and of course, you can always move things, copy things, whatever. But by and large, iCloud Drive is where I store everything. And the benefits of that are tremendous, and I think they're pretty obvious. If you are storing things in iCloud Drive, then those files that you store in iCloud Drive are available immediately on all of your devices. So we don't have to think about, what device did I use to create this? Or did I remember to bring this with me? The famous question, that we always used to have to ask ourselves, did I bring that file? Did I bring the correct flash drive, or did I, remember to copy it over or whatever? Well, that's just too bad. I don't have it with me and there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that's not the case now. Now, as long as I have an Apple device, any of my Apple devices with me, and I sign into my Apple account, I will have all of my files and folders. The other thing, as I mentioned, that the Files app gives access to is it gives access to third-party file sharing services if you install those apps. So, for example, you can install the Dropbox app, the Google Drive app, the Microsoft OneDrive app, the pCloud app, and probably others that I'm not thinking about. And then you can open the Files app and you can access those third-party services from within the Files app. And you can move things around from place to place. Like I could move a file from Dropbox to iCloud Drive, for example, all within the Files app. The other thing we can do in the Files app is we can access physical external media like USB flash drives, and we can also access SD cards. Now, in order to do that on an iOS device, you're going to need an adapter, and there are a few different ones. The iPhone specifically, you'll need to use the well, there are two options. What we recommend is the Apple USB 3 to Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. It's actually called, because it was designed originally to allow you to get photos and videos off of your camera and import them into the Photos app on your iPhone or iPad. And indeed, you can still do that. That feature is still available to this day. If you connect an SD card or a camera to your iPad, for example, you can still access the photos and videos and import them into your Photos app. Still possible, but there's also a lot more that's possible. And what we're talking about right now is accessing just the files and the folders on a USB drive. So, cool. If my voice breaks up here, we are going through a tunnel right now. It won't last long. Anyway, the USB drives get plugged into this adapter. Again, the adapter is called the Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. And the benefit of that particular camera adapter or USB adapter is that it has a second Lightning port in it. So what you do is you plug the Lightning port into your iPhone, and then you get a USB port and a second Lightning port on the other end. Well, why would you need a second Lightning port? Well, maybe you need to charge your iPhone while you are using or accessing your USB drive. Or maybe you have an external USB hard drive that requires too much power for just the iPhone. So you plug in your iPhone to electrical power, and now the USB drive will work. Okay, that's called bus powered, and it's something that when you have a bus powered device, you need to make sure your device is supplying enough power. And sometimes for some drives, the iPhone doesn't unless it is plugged into electrical power. Now, that same adapter, the USB 3, Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter, also works on iPads with Lightning ports. And that's basically just the 8th and 9th generation, well, 7th, all the way back. And the rest of them now, I believe, I'm not sure about the Mini now, I'm forgetting, but the Air and the Pro don't use Lightning ports anymore. So there's a different adapter for those.
How you going to teach iOS and not be sure?
Yeah. Do you know? Because yes, I don't remember.
Yes, the new Mini it has USB-C.
That's what I thought.
The Air 4th generation, all the way back to the 2018 iPad Pros.
Correct.
So,
right.
And before you continue, because as you know, I don't know if I've told people in this class, pCloud is actually my second favorite cloud service. There is a couple things that it does that Apple doesn't do. probably for their own reasons. One is you can house your storage on your Mac or your iPhone or iPad, whatever you choose to use, and it does not take up that space. Remember, Matt, back when you had Mobile Me and Apple did the same thing? I don't know why they went away from it, but apparently, but pCloud, like if, for instance, if you had 2 terabytes of storage with pCloud and your machine is only 256, you're going to be able to access all 2 terabytes of that whatever's in that drive. Now you can download it, but you're going to only be able to download 256. But other than that, if it's movies, music, whatever the case may be, you'd be able to stream it per se and not have to download it all to your system. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite things about it. And the other thing is they actually offer a lifetime membership where you don't have to pay monthly. And right now they got a Black Friday sale going on 75% off their 500 gigabyte plan, which is normally 500, and right now it's only 122. And their 2 terabyte plan is normally 950, and right now it's 245. So, like I said, I mean, pCloud is my second one. It's 100% accessible. I've never had any issues with it at all. And when I have, customer service is great about getting back to you. So,
well, that's awesome, and that's a tremendous deal too. And that thing you're talking about with the downloading versus the streaming or whatever you would want to call it. In fairness, Apple sort of does that, but it's a little bit more like it'll download whatever it can, and then it will remove things from the local storage when it needs to. And I think
and you can also, at least on the Mac, I know, you can go to the folder and say remove download. It'll still show you what's there, but it won't be housed on your system.
Right. And I don't remember. I know that's an option for music. I think it may be an option for files now on iOS, but it's kind of done automatically on iOS anyway. It's not really a choice. It's just automatically optimized when it needs to remove the download. It does. On the Mac, you have a choice called Optimize Mac Storage, and you can toggle that on and off.
And the thing I like about iCloud on the Mac, and I'm not trying to get too far off topic, is you don't have to download all of your iCloud to it. You can choose what you want to download. So,
right.
Oh, and on the Mac, or not the Mac, but on the phone, you can also go into your music app or your music settings and select not to download everything you listen to or add to your playlist.
Yes,
also. So
you definitely can. Yep. And that's very important, guys. What he's talking about, because this is how we manage our local storage. When you're using your Files app a lot and stuff like that, things are going to get downloaded, but they will get removed also when necessary. But you have some control over that with photos and music and things of that nature. So, look through your settings. That's always very important. So that's a little bit of an overview of the kinds of things you can access. Now, the other thing you can access in the Files app is network attached storage devices. These are basically hard drives that plug into your router or your mesh system or your access point, whatever you want to call it. And they then make that drive available to anybody on the network who has the proper credentials to access it. And so again, the Files app can access network drives, and it can even access what they call SMB servers, which are really a Windows thing, but they can access that as well. So there's a lot that can be done in this Files app. Now, the Files app allows you not only to access the files and folders, but it allows you to make changes. For example, creating new folders and copying and pasting of files and folders, renaming, adding a variety of other features I'm going to talk about here briefly, and a whole lot more. So we're going to talk about a few specific things, probably about 5 to 10 more minutes of discussion, and then I'm going to do a demo. We'll take questions, and that's really it. So the next thing I want to talk about are some of these options of what you can do with these files and folders to help organize them. As I mentioned, you can create folders. Now, there are already some folders created for you when your apps install, when you install your apps, or some of the pre-installed apps will create what are actually called app libraries. That's the technical name for a folder that's created by an app. It's called an app library, but to you, it will just look like a folder, and it functions like a folder. And so some of the app libraries we have already are like the Pages folder, the Keynote folder, the Numbers folder. These are, GarageBand for iOS. Now, some of them won't show up until the first time you use the app. Okay, so if you're going to iCloud Drive and you're saying, well, I don't have a Pages folder yet, well, have you ever used Pages? The actual folder will show up in iCloud Drive or anywhere. All right. So those folders get created for you automatically. And then, as I said, you can create your own as well. You can create folders, and you can even create subfolders, right? A folder within a folder. Okay. We can then put files into those folders in a number of ways. The most common way is that when we create a document, for example, in Pages, it's going to save to Pages in iCloud, which means it'll put it in that Pages app library, okay, and on iCloud Drive. And you can move them, you can, change that, but that is where they go by default. One of the things you have is you have a downloads folder, and you can choose whether it's in iCloud Drive or on your device. Again, I always pick iCloud Drive. And I've even moved my Mac downloads folder, even though I hardly ever use the Mac by comparison, but I've moved my Mac OS downloads folder to match the iOS and iPad OS one on iCloud Drive rather than being local on the Mac, because again, I want to have everything in all locations. There are some things that won't work. There's like a Mac OS installer package is not meant for iOS. Okay. And so, I definitely, certain things I can't use, but there's a lot of stuff I might download on the Mac that if I'm downloading sound effects or, video files or PDFs or something, and I want to be able to access them on all devices, not just on the Mac. So again, I've moved that downloads location, and it's always on iCloud Drive. So you have all these folders that are already, pre-existing. Another thing that we can do to get files into our Files app, oftentimes in the share sheet. You remember what share sheets are when you tap on the share button in an app like Photos or in Safari or Notes. Basically a lot of apps support these. So if you create a note, for example, or a voice memo, and you choose share, usually at or near to the very bottom of the share sheet is an item called Save to Files. And again, when you save it to files, you can choose where it's stored, iCloud Drive, a specific folder, whatever you want. And you can save that item to the Files app so it can be accessed in that way. When you access files from the Files app, sometimes they will directly open in the app that created them, or sometimes they'll open in what's known as a quick look interface, which allows you to sort of get a preview of the file right within the Files app. Audio files in particular do that. They open in quick look. You can play the file right there, pause, whatever you want to do. Same thing with videos, PDFs, a lot of different types of files open that way. And then if you want to open them in another app, you choose the share option, and whatever apps you have will allow you to open them. So again, if it's an audio file, you'll have the option to open it in voice memos, maybe some of your other, if you have apps like Fairlight Recording Studio or, some of these, you'll have options for all of that. Now, one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to organization of files and folders is I want to talk about tags. Tags are really, really useful. You might be familiar with tags from other services and doing searches and so forth, but a tag is a friendly little descriptor that you can attach to a file to indicate what it's about. And you can easily view items by tag. So you can view everything in a specific tag, and it becomes really, really a powerful way to keep things organized. Now, a lot of this is personal preference. People will choose how they want to organize things. But for me, I don't like to create a ton of folders. Okay. I don't like to have a separate folder for every project that I'm doing, or, those kinds of things. I have a few basic folders, the ones that Apple created for me, the apps create for me, and a few others. But they're more based on the kind of media, like video files and attachments and photos and things of that nature, PDFs. But then what I can do is I can tag those files. So if I'm working on a particular project, like let's say our voiceover in and out course, and let's say I've created several files for that course, I can tag all of those with the name voiceover in and out, or whatever I want to call the tag. And it doesn't matter what kind of file it is. It can be an audio file, a video, a PDF, a Pages document, a keynote presentation. It doesn't make any difference what the type of file is, but I can add tags to these files, and I can even add multiple tags to the same file. When I do that, later, I can go back and look and view only the files that are tagged with a specific tag. So if I were using, let's say I were creating a file for the voiceover in and out course, I might tag it with the tag work. I might tag it with TTJ. And I also might tag it voiceover course or voiceover in and out, something like that. And so I can view all of those by any. And all of this becomes really, really organized then when you do that. And there are even color tags that you can organize by color. So for those people who can see, that's useful, but VoiceOver will also tell you what color they are. So this is, again, a really great way to keep things organized on your devices and in iCloud. We'll demonstrate it for you in just a moment. And the other thing I want to talk about is how important it is to master the long press gesture in the Files app, which, of course, as we know, is our double tap and hold, or our triple tap if we don't want to double tap and hold. But I have found in certain versions of iOS 15 that doing the double tap and hold has better results. So if you can master that, whatever finger you need to use to do it, I recommend it. It brings up a context menu like it usually does. And this is where all of these things are, like rename. Now, some of them are in the rotor too, in fairness. You can swipe up or down with one finger and get rotor actions. But all these things like rename, add tags, delete, to delete the files, and they go in the recently deleted folder for a period of time before they're permanently removed. You can, the share option, as I mentioned, to share this, which we'll talk about more in just a minute. And, other options too. If it's depending on the kind of file, you may see other options to print or these sorts of things. Specifically, if we choose share, we get the share sheet. And again, as it usually does, it begins with our sharing suggestions. So, people we've recently been in communication with, or other people that it thinks are relevant to the particular file that we are working with. And then our, common tasks like messages and mail and other apps that we may have installed on the device that could be used to open that specific file. And then we get to this section where we can copy, duplicate, rename, move, all these other choices. And we even have an option that says share in iCloud. I think it says share file in iCloud or share folder in iCloud, because you can do it with both. And this is exactly what we've done for all of you when we created the iCloud shared folders for the VoiceOver in and out course that have all the documents in them, okay? We are using iCloud shared folders. Again, you can do this with individual files, but you can also do it with folders. And what happens is you choose to share the folder or the file in iCloud, and then it's going to ask you how you want to share it. And that means messages, mail, again, whatever method you want. You can even copy a link to it, and it's going to send an invite to people, asking them to share it. And at the very bottom of that screen, you're going to have sharing options. And these include whether or not you want the people who access the file or folder to be able to make changes to it, or if you want to share it in a read-only fashion. And it also includes the option to choose whether the file or folder is only shared with the people you invite specifically, or whether it's a public link that anybody who has the link can access the file or folder. So you have options for all of that. When you're sharing in iCloud, it's important to make sure you have not only enough storage space, but I've seen mixed reports on this, but I always advise that the other person have enough iCloud storage space as well. And again, you can upgrade your iCloud storage for as little as 99 cents a month, depending on what storage plan you want. But even that takes you from 5 gigabytes all the way to 50. So it's a pretty big increase for a very small amount of money. And the higher end iCloud Plus plans are shareable with family sharing as well. The files that are shared in iCloud are available to anyone who you invite or anyone with a link, depending on your settings, and they are available with in a couple of ways. Really, the person has to have an Apple ID and has to click on the link. It's going to open the file and put it in their Files app. And you all have experienced that if you've accessed our Voiceover In&Out full shared folders. It is possible to share them with Windows users as well, as long as the Windows users install iCloud for Windows. Okay, and that is being updated regularly. There was just an update to it recently, so it is a valid thing. And you can instruct the people you're sharing with who are trying to access it on Windows, to go to iCloud.com or apple.com/iCloud, and they can download iCloud for Windows. We're going to launch the Files app.
Files, browse, back button.
I'm going to go back because I was inside of my
iCloud Drive, heading.
iCloud Drive. That's where I typically do spend most of my time in the Files app.
Browse, back button. Browse. More button.
Now we have 2 tabs at the bottom.
Tab bar, Recents, tab 1 of 2. Selected, browse, tab 2 of 2.
And the Recents tab, we're really not going to spend much time in today, but it is sort of an aggregation of everything you've opened or modified recently. And so if you aren't sure where something is shared, but you just recently, aren't sure where something is stored, rather, but you just recently worked with it, you can open it there from the Recents tab. This is the Browse tab. And at the top left, there is
Recents, tab 1 of 2. More button.
This More button.
More button.
And let's take a look what's under that.
Scan documents. Scan documents. Button. Connect to server. Button. Edit. Button.
Scan documents is going to allow you to scan right into the Files app. Connect to server. Again, that's where you would access your network attached storage and your other types of file servers. We're going to dismiss this.
Dismiss More button. Browse. Heading. Search. Search field.
We can search.
Dictate locations. Button. Heading.
And
that's Tap to expand.
That is collapsed right now. So this is going to let us add things like our Dropbox or our pCloud or other types of services.
iCloud Drive. On my iPhone. Dropbox. Shared. Recently deleted.
All right. So those are the basic categories there. iCloud Drive. On my iPhone, the local storage. The Dropbox, because again, I do have that installed. There's a couple cases where I use it very rarely, but our church uses it. We record things to Dropbox, and so, I do need to be able to access that. The shared location, which is anything you've shared, and then a recently deleted.
Favorites, button, heading, collapsed.
Now,
double tap to expand.
All these sections can be collapsed and expanded. So here's a situation where the favorites option is collapsed. If I wanted to see my favorites, I could expand it.
Downloads. Actions available.
There's quick access to downloads, which I can also access from iCloud Drive.
Tags button heading collapsed. Double tap to expand.
And I am going to show you the tags.
Podcasts. XXXX VO 2020.
I'm not sure how that one got created. That one got created when I set up my Mac, and I think it's probably something I can just delete. But here's
Zoom recordings. Teresa Book. TTJ. Spring 19 messages. Wonders.
All right, all these different tags.
iPad course. Purple. Vacation 2016. Gray. Red. Space course.
All right, so you get the
Actions
idea.
available.
So all these different tags, I can view files by just those tags. Now I'm going to go back to iCloud Drive.
Favorite. Reach. Drop on my iCloud Drives. Art Studio Pro. Folder. 2 items. Actions available. ATLZ project. Folder. 1 item. Attachments and photos. Audio exchange. Audio files. BFM stuff. Book files. Folder. 13 items. Shared by me.
So some of these are shared,
Swipe up or down to select a custom action.
and some of them are just
To activate.
folders that I have created or that apps have created for me. So let's open one. Let's open, first I'll show you the long press actions on it. Let's go to audio files here.
Audio exchange.
Oh,
Folder.
no, actually, let's go to the space course, because that is one that I created as a folder before I was really using tags.
Page 3 of 6. Page Safari extras. Scanner by shortcuts. Sketches. Space course. Folder. 123 items.
Let's long press this.
Get info button. Get info. Rename. Compress. Duplicate. Tags. Favorite. Copy. Move. Share. Delete. Dismiss context menu.
All those different options there. And just to mention a couple of those, compress means we've actually created what would sometimes be called a zip archive, so that we can, package that up and send it in an easy way.
Dismiss context menu.
The difference between copy, duplicate, and move. So copy is going to put the file or the folder in the clipboard. We can paste it somewhere else. Duplicate is going to create a copy of the file or folder in the exact same location that you're currently in. And move will allow you to literally do what it says, to move the file or folder right now. And it just depends where you're moving it, whether it's going to copy or move it actually. But Voiceover will tell you, the Files app will tell you, it just keeps swiping and it will say file item will be moved to whatever, or item will be copied. Usually the rule of thumb is if it's moving from one service to another, like iCloud Drive to Dropbox, it's going to copy it. If it's moving just to a new location in the same file service, then it's going to move it.
Dismiss context menu.
All right, let's open this.
Browse back to reset. Space course. Full space. Black star toward the International Space Station.
And I'm going to find a specific file here. I'm going to find this audio file that is the sound of the Sputnik satellite that it made when it orbited the Earth back in 1960. 57, 50, something like that. Yeah.
Page. Chap 4. Page 10 of 14. Page 12. Spaceflight. The application. Space. Swigert. Text. Sputnik audio. 10/26/15. 190 kilobytes. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate.
Again, we have long press actions here, but I'm just going to double tap this and
Sputnik audio done button. Sputnik audio 1 play button.
let's see what it sounds like.
Yep, Sputnik audio.
All right, and there is
15 seconds immediate timeline. 15 seconds adjustable.
a scrubber
Tap it toolbar. Share button.
and a share button, so we can easily share this and move it to other places. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to copy and paste something. And the rest of it, I think you'll be able to play around and figure it out, but I do want to show you how to copy and paste, because it's something that's not very clearly delineated for you.
Hit play. Sputnik done button.
Let's hit done.
iCloud Drive. Back button.
We're going to long press on Sputnik Audio.
Sputnik audio. 10/26/15. 190 kilobytes. Actions available. Get info button.
And we're going to choose copy.
Duplicate tag copy button. iCloud Drive back button. iCloud Browse.
Now, I could have just chosen to move it or something, but I want to do a copy and paste. So I'm going to put this in a folder that Trainer Cliff and I share called Audio Exchange.
Tab bar. Vertical scroll bar. 90 per 80, 50, 40, 30%. Document. Russian. Book files. BF. Audio files. Audio exchange. Folder. 8 items. Shared by Cliff. Sharing audio. Shared by Cliff. Sharing.
Now, how we do this, we are going to, in order to paste, we are not going to use the rotor paste method because that's for text. We are going to locate the status bar, which is at the, not the traditional status bar that has the time and the Wi-Fi signal, but the status line for the Files app, which is at the very bottom of the screen, just to the left of the tabs.
Tab bar. Recents. Tab. 1 of 2. 8 items.
There it is, where it says 8 items.
Tab 8 items.
And we're going to long press. You're not really going to get any confirmation, but when you lift your finger and swipe to the right,
Tab bar. 8 items. Tab bar. Select 8 items. Paste. Menu item. New folder. Menu item. Move item here. Menu item. Show more items. Menu item.
you have those options. Move item here, new folder. We're just going to choose paste.
New paste. Menu item. Paste. Menu. Star it up. Coast to coast art and logos. Tactile. Star. Sputnik audio. Audio. 10/26/15.
And there it is. And because we share that folder, Trainer Cliff will be able to access that file now as well. All right. All right. God bless you, everybody. Take care.